Posh Coasters, it's Paula. I wanted to talk today about becoming a leader and also about how to find information because these things are really linked together, and I felt like this was really the time to start talking about this. As I mentioned on the team page, at the beginning of February there were 40 members of this team, and today there are 78. So that was really rapid growth that I didn't really anticipate, but I have known all along by watching other teams over the course of 2 years that a lot of times, I mean, some teams go crazy. Some teams grow to 100 members in 3 months. That was never going to be the way that I ran my business because I'm a cautious person. I'm a kind of slow and steady wins the race kind of person. So, but I think that at a certain point, your team reaches a tipping point where you start having, you've added team members, they've added team members, and the way this thing works is that eventually things start to snowball. And that's kind of what's happened, and it's very exciting. I'm really pumped up for this. So as you saw on the team page, there I had a goal of trying to reach 100 members in the month of May. So I think we're on our way, and I think that it's absolutely doable. So wow, 100 members. I'm sure you're sitting back thinking, well, I'm never going to have 100 members on my team, especially if you're relatively new. I never thought I would either. So you never know. So when you recruit, when you sign up people directly under you as your direct recruits, you have a contractual obligation through the policies and procedures you accepted when you became a consultant. You have a contractual responsibility for that person. So your recruit is you're responsible for taking care of them and for helping them on their Posh journey to the extent that they want to, be involved in Posh and building a Posh business themselves. So everybody, anytime you have any questions about anything Posh related, the first level that you should take your question to is your sponsor. Your sponsor is responsible for your training and your education in Posh. If your sponsor is fairly new, maybe they don't know the answer. So they might take it to their sponsor. And that's how this thing is supposed to work. It's not always the way it works, but that's the way it's supposed to work. But you should also be, each Posh consultant should also be responsible for their own education and their own training to a certain extent too. So where do you find out? You're new, you don't know any of this stuff. It's so overwhelming. There's so much information. People are throwing out these acronyms. They're throwing out all of this jargon that you have no idea what any of it means. And you have questions. Like, you want to submit orders. You want to get a party going. You want to, do a lot of stuff, and you don't know how to do that. So where do you personally turn? The first place that you should consider turning is to your polka dot guide. I mean, there's a reason they give one of these to every single person in their starter kit. If you joined a while ago and don't have this particular one, a lot of the information is going to be the same, but some of it has been updated. So everybody can find this in the Posh box. And the Posh box is really the ultimate source of information, and everything is there. It's just that the polka dot guide is nice because it's like a physical object. You don't have to scroll through pages on the Posh box to find what you're looking for. But everything is here that you would probably need to know. So, things that are really complicated, like the pay plan, it's in your polka dot guide. The information is here to access. If you have a question when you're starting out about your props, all the information about props is in the polka dot guide. So it is there for you to use as a resource. But again, as I said, the Posh box is full of resources. There's portal tools in the Posh box for you to use. There's a lot of information there. So that should be your go-to. If you have a question or you're just wanting to learn more, that should be the first place you start looking. So what does that mean? You've joined. You want to start recruiting because that's kind of the way you progress in Posh is to build a team. So if that's something you're committed to doing, you're committed to building a business, then recruiting is or team building. We're not supposed to call it recruiting. Well, no, you can call it whatever you like, but it's somewhat of more of a positive image to call it team building rather than recruiting, which I don't know sounds like. I don't know, it sounds a little bit more like it's purely for your improvement of your business, but actually building a team benefits everybody because you're a team. You can work together. You can share resources. You can share information. You can, go through this journey together because nobody does it alone ever. So as you're building your team and sharing information with your team, they're going to be somewhat dependent on you. So, that's scary. That's a hard thing to do, and you aren't always going to know the answers. So, go up to your sponsor. And if your sponsor has to kick it up to the next level, that's fine for something that's not readily apparent. But certain types of information should be in your toolbox. Things that are really basic, because as your team grows, if you have 100 people all messaging you and saying what time is noon Mountain Time, you're gonna go crazy because that is information that they should be able to find out themselves. And Google time zone. I did this for somebody recently because somebody had who asked me again what time is noon Mountain. So I was like, okay, here, I got this on Google in 5 seconds. How to go from how to convert your time zone to another time zone. So that basic information like that are things that people need to have responsibility for themselves, and things like It's like the old saying, you give a man a fish and he eats for one day, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for his whole life, or something like that. So, you have to empower people on your team to know how to find information for themselves. I'm guilty of it, certainly, because I do it with my kids. Sometimes it's just easier for them to let me do stuff for them, and I do because it's just easier. I can do it in 5 minutes rather than taking them an hour, and I know it's going to get done right the first time, so it's just easier to just do it myself. But that's doing a disservice. That's doing a disservice to my kids. If you do that for your team, you're doing your team a disservice because they're not learning about this information themselves. Something that I learned in Leadership Academy that I'm going to be passing on in the video that I need to make for Leadership Academy is a concept of, when somebody comes with a question that is something that is pretty much basic knowledge, instead of telling them right then what the answer is, asking them, where did you look? Okay, you have this question. Where did you look for the answer already before you came to ask me? Did you look in your polka dotted guide? Did you look in the Posh box? Did you look on the team page already? Because somebody probably asked this question. 50 people might have asked this question already. So did you do a search on the team page? Where did you already look, rather than PMing me directly? And that's something that I need to get better about doing. And I don't want anybody to get upset. I don't want people to go, why can't you just answer my question? It will take you a minute to type out the answer rather than me having to go look for the answer myself, because I know you know it. So why can't you just tell me? But again, it's coming back to learning how to do for yourself and how to take that knowledge and convey it to the other members of your team. And then everybody wins. Everybody learns, and that's what's important. So there you go. If you have any questions, I just asked if you had any questions. If you have any comments or specific questions about what I'm talking about here, please let me know, and we'll see you next time. Bye.